Welcome to STIA 1123 Programming 2. Today I would like to talk about Java class. In object-oriented programming, any object can be identified and turned into class. When we identify an object, we can extract the general information of that particular object into a generic representation of the object. So an object is a unique object where it contains unique information. However, for a class, it is a generic representation of an object. So object-oriented programming, particularly in Java, translate a real-world situation which everything around us is basically made of object, and represent that object in a class and can be programmed through the Java programming. So for example, if you like to develop an application to store an inventory of an office, you can basically identify all the object that is available within the office environment. For example, a cabinet, chair, desk, office supplies such as pen, pencil, papers. So all those can be identified as an object if we can take one point to that object physically, and that object must exist because as an object it is a unique representation. It's a unique item that is available, that is physically available. However, if we like to take that object into programming, we need to extract the general representation of, for example, a pen. You can see if there's an object of a pen on your desk, that is an object because you can see the color of the pen, the size, the length of the pen, the color of the pen, the ink of the pen, the type of the pen. So all those can be generalized out of that particular pen. However, we cannot straight away program that particular object into programming, because you can have multiple pen on your desk. Instead of just a single pen, you might have 10 pens. So all those is an individual object, and they might be different to one another. However, they are identified as an object, and all those 10 pens belong to the same category, which is pen in general, because we know a pen can be used to write, can also be used to draw, can be used with some other functions of a pen. So if we like to translate that into programming, we need to identify a general characteristic of that particular pen. So in NetBeans, you can create a new project. So Java application project, we can give the name of the project office inventory. Finish. So this is the main class of the application. So if you would like to store information about a pen or several pens, you need to create a class of a pen. So to create a class of a pen, you need to create new Java class, and you need to identify the class name. So in this case, we give it a name pen. Right. So there are two members of a pen: data member, or sometimes known as variable, and also method. So these two data member made up a class. For pen, we identify the data member of a pen. For example, the pen color. Okay, so we define the data member as string color of the pen, and usually we define the data member type private. So this is for data hiding, where we hide the data from outside access other than this specific class. So for the second variable, we can declare, for example, type of the pen. Maybe it is a mechanical type, or it is a non-mechanical type. Alright, let's say you just want to store these two information. Okay, you can have some multiple information stored. For example, date register, or date purchase, or date taken. So all those information can be put into the pen class, where all the pen share that same characteristic. So to make things simple, we just store these two information for that particular pen. Alright, the next data member that needed by a class is a constructor. A constructor is a method that has the same name with the class name. So for example, public pen. So this is what we call as default constructor. Constructor normally being used for data definition. So since the variable that we define here is basically inaccessible from the other class, we need a way to define these two data member. Usually we use the constructor to define the data member. When we define a constructor without any passing parameter, we call it as a default constructor. So if we create an object for the pen, it will use without any passing parameter, it will use this constructor. However, the two variables that we have referring to now. The second constructor here, we provide these two values. So for example, string C, string T. So this is another constructor with two passing parameters. So these two passing parameters allow us to define color and type. So when we create an object out of pen, it will, if we supply with these two parameters, it will use this with this constructor to create the object and provide the value of color and type. So to provide the value of color and type, we use keyword this. This referring to class. To the class data member, if you like to access color and type, we use this dot color equal C, that's supplied by this constructor parameter, and the second one, this dot type equal T, supplied by this second passing parameter. So now when we create object for pen with passing parameter, the value for these two data member will be supplied, and this concept we call as an overloading constructor, because we are having two or more constructor in the same class with the same name. Thus we call it as overloading constructor. The third method that we need is a getter and setter method. Sorry, getter method only. Start with getter method or setter method. Okay, we need these two methods if we create an object without supplying parameter, we need to set the value through this setter method. So we can define public void set color. So we need to provide with the passing parameter string C, and you can use this dot color equal C, and for the second parameter you can use also public void set type string T, and then this dot type equal T. Now this is both of these method called as a setter method. We set the value. We set the value if the default constructor with no parameter has been used to create an object. Alright, the third method that we need to use here is a getter method. A getter method basically allows us to access the value of the variable that we have defined in the class pen. As you remember, this is a private data member which cannot be called from outside of this particular class. the only way that we can access the data member is through using a getter method. So if you like to get the color, so we can use get color, and then we need to return this dot color. Okay, so it needs this return parameter so that when we call this method get color, it will return string. And what string that it return? The variable that we had defined up here. So it only return the value, not the variable. So this is getter method, and also the second one same for get type, return this dot type. Okay, so this is also getter method. And the last method that we need to use is a toString. A toString method basically used to print out value that we need. So for example, public void public string to string return for example, if you like to print out the value of the pen color and type, color plus this color, and then the second one type plus this dot type. Okay, so we might need to put some and for new line, or maybe you want to have a comma space. So this would allow you to print out the value by using toString method. However, you can see there's a warning declared in the netpin. It tells us that you need to add an override method. So toString basically belongs to the system. It is a method whenever we create an object. toString is a method that is available for the object. So if we didn't use our own toString in the class, it will print out the object ID. However, if we provide our own definition of toString, it will basically override the method that is available for the class. So we can just use to add this override notation so that it will basically override toString that is for the class. So this is what we call as overridden method. It basically overrides the method that's available in the parent class. Alright, so this is basically what we call as the standard class creation for Java. It came with variables or data member and also method. This is all method, and this is also data member for the class. So it started with constructor. So we have two constructor here. We have a setter method. We have two setter methods. 2 getter methods and 1 override method. To create an object for a pen, we can use standard object creation for pen. So the class name, the object name equal new pen. Right, so this is the first object that we created. However, if you define the object as this without any passing parameter, that means you didn't provide any value to the color and type. Hence, you need to provide the value by using the getter method, so the setter method. Set color, so you need to provide string value, let's say blue, and also pen1 dot set type, give it a mechanical. However, if you provide value for this object creation, color and type, blue, mechanical, so the value will be assigned by using the second constructor. Hence, you are no longer need to set the color manually. You can get the color with the value provided through the constructor. To print out the information, you can just call system.out.println with pen1.toString, which will print out the following information. So if you didn't provide any value and you try to print out the information, it will return null. You need to set the value manually. Set color blue, pen1 dot set type mechanical. Then you can get the information of the object blue, mechanical. So that is the basic of class creation in Java. I hope you can understand the basic terminology of class and object in Java. You can create more object. So for example, if you like to create for chair, for desk, for cabinet, you can create the class, and also you can use it for completing your application. Alright, that's all. Thank you.